perception is different, which
Mhm.
I'm human. I understand that might be the case, but it felt like, oh, this is the Kings offense. The ball's moving. They're working to get open threes. They're taking open threes. They're making open threes. It looked like the Kings, just like the Niners offense. It's like, oh, this looks like the Niners offense. It's mixed direction. It's creativity. It's getting the run game going. It's second and third and short. It's everybody getting involved. It's yards after the catch. Like, holy smokes, what is this? That's what I felt. I literally, the difference is the Kings still have a chance to right the ship.
Yep.
The Kings have, what are they, 24 games in now? 25 games in. So they got 57 games to keep figuring it out. The 49ers don't, which is the big difference. But it's why both seasons so far have been frustrating. Like the reason the Kings season to this point has been frustrating is because we know they have 281 points in them across 2 games. Like, we know that.
Mm-hmm.
We know that defensively they can be a lot better. They can go hold the Jazz to 97. We've known that. We just haven't seen it. So, putting the 49ers aside here for a second, and the Kings specifically, are these the 2 best wins of the year? Like, no, not for me. But it's the first time this year it felt like, oh, they did what they were supposed to do to a worse team twice.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't let the Spurs hang around and then run away at the end. They didn't let the Jazz hang around and then maybe need a big 3 late to put them away. No, they just steamrolled 2 teams that they should steamroll. And that is, for me, again, is it like, wow, they're title contenders now? No. But this is exactly what we've been asking for when they play these lesser teams. Not only don't lose, but go beat the hell out of somebody. And they did it 2 games in a row, which is a pretty big deal for me.
It's progress.
Yes.
Yeah. And
exactly.
and really, it feels like 3 out of 4. They've won 3 out of 4, but it's 3 out of 4 where they've just like looked convincingly good, and you're like, okay, the win over the Rockets is maybe even more impressive because look, it ends up being a 9-point win, but we know the Rockets kept trying to score late because of the cup, and so they scored a few extra points. Right, that game was not a 9-point game; it was a dominating performance.
Yeah.
It's a bummer that tucked in there you have a game against Memphis where you lost, but this is progress. The team is growing. They're moving forward. They're getting better.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that we were waiting for. I'd say this too. We'll get into all kinds of numbers throughout the day. The Kings last night had 39 assists and 7 turnovers.
That's outrageous.
It's absolutely crazy.
That's a silly ass stat. It's 39 to 7 assist to turnover ratio.
It's just absolutely crazy. And then the other thing I noticed too last night is I didn't really think of it being this way, but we always talk about like free throw shooting. Mm-hmm. Like when you start missing, it becomes contagious, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Kings started the game 1 of 8 from 3.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't hit anything. Kevin Huerter came in, started hitting threes, and then everybody else like woke up. It's like, hey, is 3-point shooting contagious?
It is.
It is, clearly.
And that's why I've been hesitant to jump all in on like the Kings just stink.
Yeah.
And they were playing poorly. Like there's no 2 ways about it. But it didn't feel like what they were doing was sustainably bad. It didn't feel like they were going to shoot 31% or whatever they were shooting as a team for the entire season from beyond the arc. Like,
yeah.
Keegan Murray's too good of a shooter to be as bad as he's been all year. Kevin Huerter's too good of a shooter to be as bad as he's been all year. And even though, and I thought they would have a stretch like this that really gets them back on track. Like, we'll see. They might come out and lay an egg in their next game. They play Denver. They might lay an egg on Thursday.
Okay.
So I'm not ready to be like, hey, we're all the way back, 51 wins. Here we go. We're here. But when you talk about progress, you talk about encouraging signs, seeing Kevin Huerter knock down some threes and get going and seeing the team kind of follow suit. Mm-hmm. That's what it felt like. It felt like, man, they need 1 or 2 games where they're seeing the ball go through the net. And that'll get everything kind of kickstarted. And maybe that's what we're seeing here. It sure seems like.
Yeah, and I think the problem that we've seen is that it's if you look at the Memphis game in particular that they lost, I think Fox, Herter, and Murray combined to go 1 for
1 of
20.
20. Yes.
Like, you're
Yeah.
going to lose games when that happens,
Mhm.
but there has to be some like fail safe.
Mhm.
And I know we had a very like the pregame with Mike Brown was very aggressive. Like, in all honesty, like Mike Brown he's perturbed.
The urgency is there for Mike.
Well, that and the urgency, but also the messaging is very clear. Like, hey, look, there are other good teams in the NBA that don't hit 3-point shots, that have no problems beating people, and who are really good teams. He brought up Houston, and then the other one that was brought up was Orlando.
Mhm.
Orlando's 30th in league in 3-point shooting. Houston is number 6.
Mhm.
And those teams are both, I think, in third place in their respective divisions, in their respective conferences. They
Mhm.
are 16-8 and 17-9. It's like, hey, teams can win without shooting threes. And you know what the difference between us and them is? They play defense. So
Mhm.
anyone out
They
there,
have another pitch.
yeah, he was very clear. Anyone out there, anyone within the franchise, anyone out there on Twitter or Blue Sky or Threads, wherever you are digesting and screaming about the Sacramento Kings,
Mhm.
there are teams out there that are winning without shooting 3-point shots. It's not an excuse. It's not some we should be able to overcome
Mhm.
whatever that is.
No
And
doubt.
the way you overcome is by playing defense.
Yeah. Yeah. If you can't make baskets, the natural response is, well, stop the other team from making baskets instead.
Yes.
Yeah. They need to shoot it better for sure. But to Mike's point, there are ways around it. You need to have another club in your bag, and that's what I'm interested to see. And thanks Loki Trickster corrected me. The Kings play the Jazz next, or not the Jazz, the Pelicans next.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
On the 12th, and then Denver's the following Monday. But
The
yeah,
Pelicans,
man,
who just got another like huge blow, and
yeah,
Brandon Ingram being out for, I don't know.
yeah, another chance to go score 140 and hold a team under 100.
Yep.
And those are kind of the steps that will be that I'm personally looking for. They've won 3 out of their last 4. Really good win over the Rockets, tough loss to the Grizzlies, but then you get 2 dominant wins against the Spurs and Jazz. That's great. Love it. It's all progress. But the question to me comes down to what you just said Mike Brown was talking about. Is that was a really, really awesome offensive display here the last couple of nights. And you love to see the shooting, like the Doug McDermott, what was it, 18 points in 6 minutes? Like, that's just a fun little thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm interested to see now if these are steps that continue, or is this flash in the pan? And that game against New Orleans is one that, man, team was 6-0 against you last year. They're super beat up. They've been terrible.
I've circled that game if I'm the Kings, and I'm just waiting to go in there and run and
win by 70.
Yeah, just like you want to see what we can do this year. Yeah. Big week of Kings basketball. It is.
So what was for you? The Kings beat the Spurs by 27 on Friday. They come back last night and beat Utah by 44. What's the most encouraging sign to you if we are taking something away from these 2 games, knowing, okay, this wasn't 2 playoff teams. Well, the Spurs might be a playoff team. This wasn't necessarily 2 dominant teams. The Spurs were down Victor Wembanyama, and then Zach Collins got ejected early in the game. So the Kings went out and dominated a game they should dominate. What specific thing was most encouraging to you in those games?
Okay, so I'm gonna wrap like the 5-game stretch in together. And for the last 5 games, the Kings have had 30 assists or more.
That's huge.
The one game that they don't is the game they lost, and that's to Memphis. Well, I think there's one other game. So
San Antonio's in there too. The 127-125 loss.
The 5 games that Malik Monk has started,
mm-hmm.
all of a sudden the ball is moving. And I asked Malik a couple of questions. Other people asked Malik a couple of questions, but Malik was very clear in the locker room that one thing that he's doing specifically is he's getting De'Aaron Fox and DeMar DeRozan better shots. Those mid ranges, the whatever it is that they're shooting, They're getting more wide open and like just simpler shots.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something he's tried to work on. I think that's one thing. I also think, like, look, when you hit 3-point shots, your assist total go up.
Yeah.
Just straight up. Like,
Yeah.
you make 3-point shots. The Kings have left 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 assists on the table every single night, especially when those nights when they can't hit anything from behind the arc. And I think that they're doing a really, really good job there. So that stands out. And the other thing that stands out is that that Kevin Huerter can find a way to be productive with this team. And if he's bought in, which it sure does look like he's bought in right now, then, like, look, he can be a player for this team.
That was the thing that jumped out the most to me.
Mm-hmm.
Was Kevin Huerter in those 2 games, obviously when he's making shots, but the fact that I thought he was done playing basketball for the Sacramento Kings, at least playing at a high level.
Yeah.
I thought it was just, you know what, whatever happened is irreparable. I said it on this show. If he's going to play, I don't think you're going to get an effective version of him because of whatever he has going on with I don't know what it is. Teammates, coach, front office, fans, whatever it is. I don't think he's got, and that was very clearly not the case. And the fact that he's settling into this role that he very clearly didn't want, and no player wants to come off the bench.
Well, especially when you started as many games as he has.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and I get, like, that is no matter how a coach frames it, no matter how you close the game, no matter how many minutes you play, it is a demotion to go from starter to 6th man. And it may not, and we all know the value of the 6th man. We've seen it with Malik Monk the last couple of years. But to NBA players, they all want to start.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody wants to start. So the fact that clearly bothered Kevin, which fine, that's not a knock on him. That's normal. You'd expect that. But the fact that he is now, instead of going into some shell and going, I'll wait to get traded, went, no, I can be impactful. I can be helpful. And you've seen it the last couple games. What's he, 10 for 11?
I don't know.
10 for 14?
I just know that
Math is hard.
No, it's 12. He's hit 12 threes in the last 2 games, I believe. He's hit 6 in 2 games in a row. As a reserve,
yes.
Kevin Huerter is now shooting 49% from the field, 41.2% from 3 as a reserve. As a starter, 42.7 from the field and 29% from 3. So whatever was wrong, the move to the bench, his true shooting as a bench player is 640 versus 528. His offensive rating as a starter is 103. With that starting lineup is a 103, and his offensive rating coming off the bench is 118. Like, he's a +6 net rating coming off the bench. He's a -8 as a starter.
And 10 for 13, by the way.
10 for 13. Oh, so
it
was only
the last 2 games. 4 for 4 last night.
Oh, 4 for 4. Okay, my bad. Yeah, look, I think this is you have to have everybody has to settle into a role, just straight up. And I think Kevin is finding a way to figure it out, like to put, like, the insult of getting moved to the bench, the whatever you want to call it, like the shame or being bummed out by it.
Demotion, yeah.
Yeah, like, he's taken it in stride. It took him a couple of games to get used to it. He tweaks the ankle, has a game where he sits back and watches, which sometimes is the best thing for a player.
Yeah, take a day off.
And then, like, he looked and said, okay, how can I help the team? And sure enough, he found a way to help the team. And, like, look, I think the other thing is Mike Brown, he's trying to tinker and figure out his rotations. And when you change a starter for a reserve, but that reserve means as much as Malik Monk does to this team, it's really difficult to balance everything out. And so we've seen some Colby Jones minutes. We've seen some weird lineups and rotations. But what he did last night in the game, and what he's done a couple of times over the last few games, is he put De'Aaron Fox out on the floor with 4 bench players. And when he did that, Fox ran the show with that group, and he set those guys up. And the shots that Kevin Huerter got were in rhythm. And then when he started hitting them, it started opening everything up for everyone else. the 2-man game with Orlando Robinson, like who would expected that to happen? And Isaac Jones missed last night's game due to illness, so people are wondering why he hasn't played. Yet he wasn't feeling good.
A little sick.
Yeah, he was out. And shout out to Isaiah Crawford, who got his NBA debut last night.
Yeah, hell yeah. Love to see it.
Yeah, so I just think that there are all of these little aspects to the game that have been misfiring, and you're always constantly trying to figure out what is the exact order and how do I make this whole thing work seamlessly. And for a couple of games, you figured out, at least on the offensive end, how to make it work seamlessly. But also, like, look, you held a team to 97 points.
A team that, by the way, Utah is bad, right? Like we all nobody thinks that Utah's awesome. They have some talent, but just the talent is weird. You held Utah to 97. On Friday, they scored 141 points. Whew.
They did the same thing.
This wasn't some team that can't put the ball in the hoop.
How do you do a plus 42 in one game and a minus 44 in the next?
They had a plus 42 and they wound up minus for the weekend. Yeah, man, that was the other thing that stuck out last night. Like, usually in a game like that where you're hitting shots and you're pulling away from a team, you get a little bit lax defensively. And it how many 40-point leads in the NBA have you seen get whittled down to like 18 with 2 minutes left?
Yeah.
Happens all the time. The fact that Sacramento stayed locked in defensively last night and held them under 100 points, that is, to me, that's meaningful. If you're trying to find building blocks and things to take steps forward on.
Yeah.
There's still a game under 500. Like I said, it's not like, oh my God, they've turned a corner, everything's perfect now. But if you're looking for signs, these 2 wins, Friday and Sunday, are the 2 clearest signs that, oh, there's life there. This can work. This can be sustainable. Here are prime examples of what they need to be doing on both sides of the floor. And I was impressed, extremely impressed by how the Kings played the last two nights, 2 games.
Yeah. And
when 3 nights,
when you have a really bad stretch where you lost probably 3 or 4 games that you should have won, like realistically, you should have beat a team like the Nets. You should have beat a team like the Hawks. You should have beat, a team like San Antonio the first time, and you should have beat the Blazers. This is a moment where, like, you need to start getting some traction and climbing back up in the standings, and then setting yourself up when the hard part of the schedule hits, that you're rolling. And, maybe, you got a bunch of games coming up against teams like the Lakers. Like, that's a team that you need to go out and punish. They have an opportunity here, a whole bunch of games at home, to not only improve as a home team and get back on the right path, which has been like one of the strangest thing ever, to just see this team lose at home. But it's also a point where, like, you can actually get back in the race. I think I looked, they're 3 games out of the number 5 spot. That's it. Like, they're right there. Yeah, it doesn't take much. They're like 2 games out of like being a playoff team. So it's not over, and there's still a lot of positivity. And that's why I think it's so much different than the conversation that we've had with the 49ers.
Yeah, man, that's a good transition by you, because the 49ers beat the Bears yesterday 38-13. They scored as many touchdowns in the first quarter as they had scored in the previous 2 weeks. They looked normal. They looked like the 49ers. Offensively, defensively, and I get some of that is opponent related. The Bears were coming off a mini bye, playing on Thanksgiving. They had fired their head coach. But the way the 49ers played was similar to what we saw with the Kings the last couple of nights, where you go, wait, where has this all been? Where has this? And maybe it's a matter of the Bears are just that bad. But when you see them play against Green Bay and lose on a blocked field goal, and you see them lose to the Commanders on a Hail Mary because one of their defensive backs wasn't paying attention, you go, okay, well, maybe they're not that bad. I was talking to my buddy who's the professional sports bettor, and he's like, yeah, the Bears this is kind of a weird spot because the Bears have lost 6 in a row, but they haven't been like that bad. Like they're a couple of swing plays away. If they hit a field goal against Green Bay and the Commanders don't complete a Hail Mary, they're like in the playoff hunt.
Yeah.
But I thought what the 49ers did yesterday, here's why it's significant, because I still don't think San Francisco is going to make the playoffs. They didn't get anything that they needed to happen yesterday.
They had a bad day yesterday.
They needed the Rams to lose, and they needed the Seahawks to lose.
The Rams to the Bills.
Yeah, you think, oh, well, that's a win for Buffalo. No, we got game of the century as the Rams go on to win 44-42. But this is not about, oh man, they could make the playoffs. Now, I don't think they will. They haven't been good enough.
No.
But if you're trying to find optimism about next year, it really felt like, oh man, they might be letting go of the rope organizationally here.
Mm-hmm.
Where, man, if you lose your last 5 here, where you lose now 8 in a row to finish the year, I don't think Kyle Shanahan was going to get fired, but there's no amount of off-season work that's going to make you feel good about the season.
Dude, they're not the Raiders.
Well,
but I mean, that's the point, though. Like, if the Raiders lose 5 in a row here, it's like, okay, that's the best thing for them. The 49ers losing out, like, sure, it would help them in the draft. It's not the best thing. That's not who they are. And you don't want them to lose their identity.
Yeah.
And go, okay, how do we get back? Not only, next season are we figuring out how to, like, fill a whole bunch of voids around, but we were a bad team last year. Like, right now, they're not a bad team. They're just not a good team.
Yeah.
And they've had enough games where you're like, hey, there are 3 games that they could have easily won.
Yeah.
Right. And they're not a good team because they didn't win those games. But they're also, right at 500? They're a 500 team. Like,
6-7 right now.
Yeah. It's tough, but that's who they are. And but I still see a light at the end of the tunnel for them for next season.
Yeah.
It's just tough.
It makes Sunday's game against Chicago made everything else that has happened this season that much more frustrating.
Yeah.
Especially from, like, the execution standpoint, for sure. Like, they didn't have a bunch of penalties that were putting them behind the sticks. That was a big deal. They didn't turn the ball over a bunch of times. That was a big deal. They didn't make any back-breaking special teams mistakes. But you start watching and you go, wait, if you just didn't have all these stupid pre-snap penalties, and if you just covered a kick or covered a punt, and you cut down on a couple of turnovers, the season's so much different. But I did like to see that the creativity we've been asking for offensively was there.
Mm-hmm.
It looked like oh man, Shanahan bag game. And he hasn't had one bag game.
Yeah.
He hasn't had one of those in a long time.
Yep.
And so when you look at, and I have some nitpicks that we can talk about. It wasn't all sunshine and rainbows, but overall, it was like, this is why you keep Kyle Shanahan around. This is why you don't, quote unquote, blow it up. I think there are contracts they need to get out from under for sure, and I think you're going to see some pretty significant changes to the roster. But there's still a semblance of a really good team here.
Well, even the Brock Purdy moments in this game.
Yeah, Brock was awesome.
All right, there he is. That's the guy that you need to see. And
it was,
well, that's not a great team. Well, they've had great games this year. The Bears have had some really good games.
Yeah, and the 49ers have played bad teams this year and not played as well as they did on Sunday.
Yep.
So coming off of 3 straight losses, 2 of which you lost 73-20 combined, you needed to come out with some kind of urgency in this game. And I think if they hadn't, I would have questioned some bigger picture things with the 49ers. But the fact that they came out with that urgency, you go up 14-0 at the end of the first quarter, you go up 24-0 at halftime, controlled the game, you never let it get out of hand. The Bears made it 24-6 and then 31-13. It never got closer than that. Like, all right, that's what you like to see the 49ers do, or what you wanted to see the 49ers do. It's too little too late, but it was encouraging top to bottom to see them respond in that way instead of just tucking their tail between their legs and getting to January.
Yeah, it was refreshing.
Yeah, it was fun to watch. We're going to give away, speaking of getting into January, that means we're in the holiday driving season. That means you're going to want to win a Jiffy Lube gift certificate, which we will be giving away. We'll give away a couple of keywords, and you will enter for a chance to win. We're going to give one of those away on Friday, along with an exclusive Insiders hoodie.
That's right.
That you can only get through this giveaway.
Do we know who won last week?
We don't. We can find that. We do have the technology to find out that information. We will be giving away 2 keywords today because we had a Kings game Friday and a Kings game Sunday. We'll give you keywords for both of those. We'll have James Ham's 6 quick thoughts. The largest contract in sports history got done yesterday. We'll have that for you and more NFL action as well. Kings, Niners, Raiders, NFL, big contracts. Tons to get into here in the next hour and a half. That's James. I'm Kyle. We're the Insider, sponsored by Jiffy Lube. It's ESPN 1320 and it's Sacramento Sports Leader. And clear.
Clear. Can we mute the mics for 1 sec? I want to listen to. Want to make sure
We're so back.
we're back.
Tyler, I will ask our promotions people about that. Did everyone have fun at Sky River? It looked like a really great time.
You didn't go?
I left at like 4:15. Your boy was out of gas.
Yeah.
I was
all week last week, man. I was running on fumes.
Yeah, I just needed to get out of there. I was gonna decorate. I'm a big Christmas guy, as we know. I was gonna finish all my decorating and stuff at home, and I had more work to do when I got home. And by the time I was done with that, I was like, "Hey, I didn't have it. I just sat on my couch.
Yeah.
Couldn't even muster the energy to turn on a Nat King Cole Christmas album and put decorations up. 30 seconds. Hell yeah. I don't drive a Tesla, Johnny. I wouldn't drive a Tesla. I don't want to drive a Tesla. I drive a Hyundai Kona, thank you.
I do drive a Tesla.
James drives a Tesla. Kenny drives a Tesla. Damien drives a Tesla.
We all feel guilty about it.
I don't.
Not really.
I don't drive a Tesla. Okay, here we go.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
All right, we got 6 quick thoughts with James Ham coming up here in just a second. We'll talk about the Kings game last night, but we'll also give away a $50 Jiffy Lube gift certificate. We'll be giving away keywords so you can enter to win a $50 Jiffy Lube gift certificate and an exclusive Insiders hoodie, courtesy of our friends at Jiffy Lube. Before we do that, though, Juan Soto, the prized free agent of this MLB offseason, is not going to the Sacramento A's. We were crossing our fingers. We were hopeful. Turns out it's not happening. Soto got a 15-year, $765 million doll hair contract with the New York Mets.
That is just flat out crazy, man.
Insane.
I don't even know what to say. That is so much money. I mean, he's 26, so
so it's $51 million annually. And my Adam Schefter, ESPN NFL insider Adam Schefter, quote tweets whatever announcement. I think it was Jeff Passan from ESPN, and was like, "There's no NFL contract even close to this." Like, yeah, duh, Adam. First of all, 9 players make $51 million annually on their contracts, which is a separate thing. But yeah, dude, MLB contracts are fully guaranteed. There's also no salary cap. What are we doing? There's no NFL contract even close to this. Yeah, duh.
There's not an NBA contract that's close to it either.
Yeah. It's like, but that's it. $51 million a year? There's a bunch of dudes in the NBA making more than $51 million a year.
Oh yeah.
Like I was so, the context of contracts across leagues with different salary cap rules it's impossible. It's apples, oranges, and bananas. I thought that was the worst reaction I saw to the Soto news.
I mean, it's so much money, and
$765 million.
I guess the Mets, they got it.
None of it deferred. Steve Cohen is very rich.
That is $750 million.
Yeah, to one player.
That is absolutely crazy.
I think there's something to it though. Like, yeah, they wanted Juan Soto. The Mets were awesome this year. They had a really nice run, but they needed somebody like another big bat in the middle of their lineup, and there wasn't a bigger bat on the market than Juan Soto, who's only 26, by the way. They didn't hand a 15-year, $765 million contract to a 30-year-old. Like, this is a dude who has been awesome, and he's just entering his prime. So I love it for the Mets. I think part of it was they were going to have to pay a tax to get him away from the Yankees.
Oh yeah,
which I think is part of the reason that they paid so much. But if you're the Mets, like, man, that's worth it. You're taking this guy from the Yankees, going to be the biggest superstar you've had in ages. All due respect to Francisco Lindor, but Juan Soto is going to be a bigger star than Lindor, and it's so much freaking money. But A, this is the way baseball contracts go, and B, this was to get him away from the Yankees. That's what it was going to take. Salute to the Mets, man. Salute to teams that try to win. Novel concept.
I do like, the Giants made their big move. What did they get?
Yeah, Willy Adames.
Willy Adames.
Yeah, good player.
Did that happen as we were Oh, no, that happened on Saturday.
Yes.
I was Sean and Brendan and I were doing King's Beat podcast, and it broke just as we were about to close up the show, and we talked about it for a minute.
Oh, did you guys do some Giant shortstop
just
talk?
a little bit, not a lot, but
yeah. No, I love that for the Giants. Willie Adames, a good player.
Mhm.
They paid him big time, but it wasn't a $500 million deal or anything crazy like that.
Yeah.
Good
Or
player, a lot of pop.
$65 million.
Yeah. Yeah, good for Buster Posey. Making moves.
Yeah, good stuff.
Salute. All right. If you have Juan Soto thoughts, 916-909-1320, 916-909-1320. Or Willie Adames thoughts, if you'd like to talk some baseball. But what we're going to do next is we're going to talk Kings. We're going to get into last night's win over the Utah Jazz, 141-97, and we're going to do that with James Ham's 6 quick thoughts.
How'd yesterday's Kings game go?
Couldn't have gone a lot better.
Insider James Ham has 6 notes you need to
Make
know.
it 7.
Here are James Ham's 6
7
quick thoughts.
Oh, yeah, 7 quick thoughts today. I'm sorry for lying to the people. I didn't know.
It's twice in a week that I've had to have 7 quick thoughts.
Wow. All right. I'm actually, you know what? I'm looking at your 7th quick thought here. You didn't need it.
They didn't. That's why I added it late, just because I didn't want to be disrespectful.
6 quick thoughts and an additional thought. James Ham, number 1.
Red Velvet's back.
Yeah, he sure is.
The Kings couldn't hit a shot early. He came in, and like me and Kyle were talking about, his shot right now, he's not even hitting the rim. Like every single shot he throws up, you're like, oh, that's in. Oh, that's in. I think there was one where I thought, oh, that's not going in. And boom, it still found its way.
Yeah, shooter's touch, and it hit like all 4 sides of the rim.
Yeah.
Then went down.
So
incredible.
I think that, this is a big deal for the Sacramento Kings, because all of a sudden they have a guy on the bench who can score, where a couple of days ago it felt like they were going to have to go find that guy. I don't know what it means for Herter long term. I don't know if it means he stays in Sacramento and plays out his contract for the next year and a half. But 26 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, played spectacular defense, had a block. Like he is really helping out over the last couple of games.
Yeah, man. We talked about it in the offseason when they didn't trade him. Like, hey, Kevin Herter could be a big piece of this team.
Mm-hmm.
And you see why the last couple of games. We'll see how this evolves. We'll see if he can. I don't expect him to hit 10 of 13 every 2 games, but can he go a couple of games where he's not hitting and then bounce right back and go 5 of 8?
Yep.
Instead of going into these prolonged lulls where it looks like he's unplayable.
Well,
which is what it looked like early in this year.
Yeah, I totally agree. And you're just waiting for the other guy to have this moment too, and that's Keegan Murray, and he hasn't yet.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I had 7 quick thoughts. Keegan Murray didn't make 7 quick thoughts.
Sure.
He did get the defensive player of the game from the Kings, but still, it stands out that you still have more growth that this team can. They could score 160, Kyle. Just they could score 176, Kyle.
Would it? Yeah, 160. I'm trying to think of how surprised I would be if the Kings scored 160 points in a game.
Yeah, it's wild.
I'd be surprised. I would be surprised, but I also don't think I would be like floored. If the Blazers scored 160 points, I'd be like, what the hell happened? If the Kings did it, it'd be like, oh, the offense is really working tonight.
Yeah.
Like they have that much talent on that side of the ball, man.
They do have that much talent. And then I would also point out there's so many weird stats from the last couple of games, but field goals for last night, the Jazz were 31 of 80. The Kings were 57 of 100. They took 20 more shots. Yeah. They actually hit 26 more shots than their opponent.
They took 20 more shots than their opponent and won by a lot, which is what's supposed to happen.
Yes.
Instead of losing, which is what they've done multiple times this year.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Kings, man.
Crazy.
Love to see it. Number
2. Sabonis just mauled that front line. He only had to play 28 minutes last night, finished a plus 20, 19 points, 12 rebounds, 6 assists, a steal, a block. And also 2 of 3 from 3, including a corner 3, which was spectacular. So I like what we're seeing from Sabonis. He's just moving along, doing what he does.
Yep.
So good stuff.
Yeah. No additional notes there. Number 3.
Fox ran the second unit to perfection. Again, I think he was fully like the straw that stirred the drink. He's the one who got Kevin some wide open looks, and then him running the show. He was playing with such pace in the half court that it was wild to watch. All of a sudden, the ball was moving, the players were moving, the whole action on the floor was so fluid, and you're seeing pace.
So we've been asking for.
Yeah, not running up and down the court within the half court
Yes.
set. Bodies were flying everywhere,
Yes.
and that is when the Kings are at their best. And
Yeah.
a big part of that was Fox with 4 randos, Kevin Huerter and Orlando Robinson, and a little bit of Keon Ellison there, a little bit of Colby Jones, and I thought that they did a really, really good job of like figuring out that you cannot leave Fox or Monk. Either Fox or Monk have to be on the floor at all times.
Yeah,
just straight up.
I think that's right, and they have to, like you said, it's the pace of the offense in the half court where it's not okay. Somebody puts their head down and drives to the paint and then tries to kick it out. Like if you get to the paint and kick it out through the motion of the offense, perfect. But it felt like there was too much ball stopping going on, and you didn't see that very much really in either of the last 2 games.
No, it's been really good stuff.
Yeah. So hopefully this is a chance where they can sit here for the next couple of days, and I know they'll have a practice or 2 because they don't play again until Thursday, but like film and seeing, hey, look, this is how this works, and getting that buy-in from everybody. That's going to be a big deal. What are we on, 4?
Yeah, number 4. DeMar DeRozan took his turn. I don't know how else to describe it except for it looked like there was like a 7-minute stretch where they're like, hey, kid, it's your turn. Go ahead and score as many points as you can. You've got 7 minutes. And then when we're done, you're not going to get the ball again. I still think he moved the ball really well. The one thing I will point out is he has got to stop doing the Mitch Richmond 2-pointers where he steps on the line.
Yeah.
Like,
yes,
there's been at least 3 in the last 2 games that should have been 3-pointers that weren't.
Yeah.
Because he put his foot on the line.
Yeah.
And I guess all that matters is the shot goes in, but not in a tight ball game.
Yeah.
You lose by 1 when you put your foot on the line on a 3-pointer. That's tough. And so he's still, I think he's really impressive, and what he's doing is strong for the team. And he had 4 assists last night, didn't make a bunch of mistakes. So good stuff.
Yeah, man. The mid-range is fine. The long 2s are a no-go. If you can literally take a step or half a step back or slide your foot back 6 inches and you have 3 points instead of 2, like, come on, man.
Come on, man.
Gotta figure that out. Number 5.
Number 5, the Kings are now 3-2 with Monk as a starter. They have 30+ assists from 4 of those 5 games. He's making life easier on everybody, and I just think it's huge what he's been able to do here. And you knew he was going to help the starting lineup. Whatever it is that we've talked about over the last couple of years with Monk staying on the bench, it was never about whether we thought he would be productive as a starter. It's that you need him in this other role.
It was how would the bench respond, not how would Malik and the starters respond.
Exactly. Like I think we always thought that he would be good in the starting lineup, but also like, look, when you look at the way that the points have been distributed, I mean, there's a reason why you get a guy like Keegan Murray that barely took any shots at all last night. Keegan finished 3 of 5 from the field for 7 points. And it's because there is so much firepower around him in that starting unit. And sometimes it's going to be his night. Sometimes it's going to be Kevin's, or it's going to be, you're going to have to pick and choose. But I think having Malik Monk in the starting lineup, it's turned up the sharing is caring like mantra.
I'm trying to look at the Kings under Mike Brown when they have 30 or more assists. They are 52-10.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Man.
52-10.
And one of those losses was the OT game against Milwaukee last year.
When they missed free throws.
Yes.
Yeah.
Another one was on what day was that? Last Saturday when they lost by 2 to the Spurs.
Yep.
They also had a 2-point loss at Phoenix in there in January of this year. Man. There's better when the ball moves, man.
Yeah. That's it.
Every number and stat says as much. That's honestly something I didn't foresee with Monk going into the starting lineup. I was a little bit concerned that it was going to be a lot of your turn, my turn, his turn, your turn, his turn, my turn kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that has just not been the case. Been very much the opposite. Salute to Malik, man.
Yeah.
Really good player. Number 6?
Number 6, a team had 39 assists, which was a season high. Only 7 turnovers. And I looked, they only had one guy with more than 1 turnover, and that was Colby Jones. And look, Colby can make some mistakes here and there. That's just kind of the way it goes. But he was a plus 25 on the night. This is it. When the ball is hopping, we can pull up some of the plays from last night. Just absolutely remarkable ball movement.
Yeah,
and especially at the pace they were playing at, to get up 100 shots and only have 7 turnovers. That's just crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that is so many shots in a game that really you had one handily by the end of. Well, I think you had a handily at halftime.
Yeah,
but realistically, by the end of the third, it was totally over.
Yeah. Number. Okay, fine. Number 7.
Number 7.
Go ahead.
Dougie McBuckets came in and scored 18 points in 8 minutes, 6 of 7 from the field. He's now shooting 40.4% from 3 on the season. It was unnecessary, and they hit 22 threes, which I think the franchise record's 23. But to watch that sort of happen in the fourth, it was good because you know what? We always talk about check-in moments.
Uh-huh.
It was hey, Doug McDermott's here. Maybe he can help at some point.
Doug McDermott's here just in time to not need him because Kevin Huerter is also here.
Yeah. But I mean, things happen in the NBA, and you got to be ready. And the fact that he was able to step on the court, and that his teammates worked to get him open, and that every single shot he took less than 0.4 of a second.
Yeah, it was catch and shoot.
And so quick. The release is so quick.
The funniest thing was online, everybody's having so much fun with this. A player hitting 6 threes in 8 minutes or 6 minutes is insane.
Chanting Dougie in the Golden One Center.
Ridiculous. And when any player gets rolling like that, it's fun. When it's Doug McDermott to put the cherry on top of the exclamation point on top of the blowout.
Yeah.
It just everybody's there having a good time. There's no stress. It is a blast. And then Mike Brown gets asked about it in his post-game presser. Here's Mike Brown's response to Doug McDermott going 6 of 7 from 3 over the final 6 minutes.
Right now, where we're sitting, I'm locked in. It's not time to have fun. It's time to win games and stack plays the right way.
Thanks, Mike.
Intense. Yeah, no, and I get it. It's fun, and the fans had a good time.
I know exactly what he's got. It was just such a funny juxtaposition.
Yeah.
Watching everybody in the stadiums having a good time. People on Twitter watching online are having a good time. I had people who aren't Kings fans tweeting oh my God, Doug McDermott is back. And then Mike Brown, hey, what was that like watching that happen? Dad, couldn't care less. All right, thanks, Mike. Appreciate you.
I also think that Doug, his Dougie McBuckets is probably the wrong name. He probably needs the name Handsome Doug, because every video you put out of Doug McDermott, the video I put out of him from the locker room last night, 187 likes.
How many bookmarks? That's the big one.
I don't know. I don't know how many bookmarks. I don't even know how to look that up. You're going to come over? Oh, 10. 10 bookmarks. Okay.
That's how you really know.
Yeah. The Malik Monk video does 103, 181 for De'Aaron Fox, 187 for Doug McDermott.
Hilarious.
Kevin Huerter, 50.
No.
So I'm just telling you, the ladies love the Doug McDermott videos. Terrific. So good for Doug.
916-909-1320, 916-909-1320 is the Elk Grove Kia talk line. Don, you're live on the Insiders. What's up?
Hey, happy Monday, guys. It's Charismatic right here.
Oh, what's up, man?
Just wanted to sort of touch on what I was seeing with the Kings and the new rotation with Malik. The ball movement, of course, has been amazing. But what I'm noticing is it seems like they're a little less predictable too. They've added a little bit of wiggle,
sure,
a little variation in the dribble handoff. You're seeing more pick and roll as well. And then when they do the dribble handoff, it's sometimes they're dribble handoff fake and then back the opposite direction. But I think also playing Fox off ball has really helped make this team a little less predictable. I mean, you see it with Steph too. You know, the fact that he's such a great shooter, he doesn't always have to handle the ball. You know, he can sort of play off of Malik, spot up, shoot. And it's another way to sort of spread the floor now that teams sort of have to respect his shooting ability as well. And then when Kevin comes in, I like the fact that he's initiating and that he's handling the ball as well. Just all these little wrinkles you're starting to see them sort of add and gain understanding is nice.
Awesome. Thanks for the call, Matt. Appreciate you. Yep. Yeah, I think that's the whatever changes they've made to the offense.
Mm-hmm.
Feel like, or maybe they've gone back to what used to work. I think that the biggest thing is what Matt mentioned about Kevin Huerter and the fact that he's able to initiate the offense.
Mm-hmm.
And we've talked about it before when he's rolling and things are moving on dribble handoffs and he gets a 2-man game going with Sabonis and he's gets his little floater game working. Like he's a really effective player once his 3-point shot starts going down. And I think that to me is the biggest development that has helped catalyze whatever the Kings want to do offensively.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I'd also say like Malik plays with a joy that is infectious, and that all of a sudden, again, when he's playing 26 minutes, he's bringing joy to the court for 26 minutes. When he's playing 34 minutes, he's bringing joy to the game for 34 minutes. So you're getting more Malik, which more Malik is always a good thing.
Sure.
You got to make sure that he can maintain that. That's going to be the question mark. Can you maintain starter minutes for a full, 60 plus games here? And I don't know the answer to that because I've seen the lulls from him, and he's going to have to fight through some of this. But the fact that he's starting games and you're not getting off to bad starts, he's starting the third quarter and you're not getting off to bad starts coming out of the locker room. These are things that, like, it's because he plays with a specific type of energy, and it's really hard to replicate that.
Yeah.
He is the heart and soul of this team.
Yeah.
Like, you have your leaders, you have your best players, De'Aaron Fox, you have your workhorse and Domantas Sabonis, who sets the standard every single game. But you need somebody like this that lightens the mood, but also it's not just in the locker room. It's not just a funny guy. It's that he plays with a bounce and a feel to him that energizes the people around him. And that's why I think he's so valuable to this team.
916-909-1320, 916-909-1320. Let's fit one more call in here. Don, you're on the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen. What's up?
My guys, this is Big E tapping in with you.
What's up, Big E?
Hey, so I just got to say, who needs a bench when you got the flamethrower and Kevin Huerter? Keon with 4 steals Friday night and 3 steals from last night is just doing God's work out there. Please, Mike Brown, all I want for Christmas is just Keon to stay in the rotation.
Awesome. Thanks, Big E. Appreciate you. We'll see.
We'll see. Yeah, hey, look.
Keon's very clearly dealing with, I don't want to say dealing with,
growing pains.
Working through. Yeah, he's just not quite as effective as he was last year. And if he's not going to be as effective, specifically defensively, and if he's not going to be as effective defensively, it's hard to consistently have him out there.
Yeah, I think realistically, everyone needs to like calm down a little bit. Watch every play. Don't just watch the good plays that Keon has. Try just to focus on him for like the entire stretch he's out there, and whether it's 5 minutes or it's 8 minutes. And some nights it's absolutely brilliant. Every single thing he does is brilliant. But I always sort of bring back the Chimezie Metu situation. Chimezie Metu would have like 6 or 7 games in a row where it's like one lob from Malik Monk after another. He's just like a human highlight reel. Everyone is so excited about Chimezie Metu and where he's going as a player. And then he starts taking fall away 18-foot jump shots. And then one game, what do you have? 6 threes, 6 3-point attempts in the first quarter.
Yeah.
And you're like, what is happening?
Yeah. And
sometimes a player just needs to be recentered, and it's about coaching. And I don't think that like Keon's not fully in the doghouse, but what they're doing is they are feeling some growing pains, and there is footage that if you want to watch where the steals are great, but there's more to it. And so if you step back a little bit, you'll see that they're trying to bring him along and trying to fix some of the things, but sometimes the only way to rein somebody in is to take away the one thing that he wants the most, and that's minutes.
Yep.
And so it's not easy, but that's what you got to do. And like Colby Jones, all of a sudden is playing well, and he had a couple of games where it was just like, oh my gosh, please don't put him on the court. Okay, but look at all the times that you see Colby Jones racing underneath the basket on a missed shot, stealing a rebound, or stopping the play underneath the basket while his teammates go back and get on defense because he's just taking that little bit of extra effort.
Consistently doing the little things.
Yeah, and that's what Keon needs to get back to, and I'm sure he will because he's a very good NBA player.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. But for now, he's got some stuff to figure out. I think he will figure it out. But the Kings are also in the kind of hole that Mike Brown can't just let Keon go play through it. Like there's some urgency here.
Yeah.
They got games to win. And if he is not affecting winning night in and night out, he's not going to play night in and night out.
Nope.
That's just kind of it. All right. The 49ers won yesterday. We'll talk more Kings. The 49ers won yesterday and somehow didn't help their playoff chances. We'll talk about that, and we'll talk about what it means for them. Plus, they won 38-13, but it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. We'll have some nitpicks as well. More Kings, more 49ers coming up, and your calls on the Elk Grove Kia talk line at 916-909-1320. That's 916-909-1320 if you'd like to join the conversation. That's James. I'm Kyle. Jiffy Lube is a sponsor. It's ESPN 1320, Sacramento Sports Leader. Okay, we got a few minutes here. I'm going to go talk to Jackie real quick.
Yep.
I have a question. Somebody had a question in the chatty house that I need to go ask her about.
Okay. Maybe get a name. Here's a interesting from Skylar, Sac Film Room. The Kings have shot 78 threes over the last 2 games, and 76 of those are wide open. Sacramento shot 56.3% on wide open threes during the stretch. That's a lot. Crazy. And I know not everybody is a soccer fan out here, but there was a Michael Antonio. I think he's for West Ham. Got in a vehicle accident this weekend. Holy smokes! I can't believe he survived. One of those moments where you're like, you see the vehicle, and then you go, "Oh, how in the world did you survive that thing?" So, if you're on the Twitter box, you can look up Fabrizio Romano. Is like the Woj, what Woj used to be, but for the soccer world. And you can see like pictures. If you click on any of his links about Michael and Antonio, you can see the actual what was left of his car. And I seriously don't know how he survived. Yeah, Aldrin J, I know Man U is now 13th place in the Premier League. Yeah. Yeah. Not great. Not great. Yeah, Antonio is like he is a tank. He looks like an NFL linebacker, but I think that what they've said, he'll be in the hospital for a few more days, and he was what's that? Oh, all right. And they said he has a lower leg fracture that they have to deal with, but absolutely crazy. Michael Antonio, he's a striker for I think it's West Ham. West Ham. That's his car, Kyle.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Let me see. Jesus. So people can see. That's what was left of his vehicle.
That is terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. Wild stuff. Yeah, not something you like seeing in the morning. But he survived. He was conscious and communicating. What else is happening? that one? Oh, I don't know who that is.
No. John Poles, I see your question. We're gonna hang on to it. I saved it. It's a good question.
Hmm.
Yeah, shout out to Sac State legend Cam Scatterbo, man.
Yeah, it does seem more and more likely that
Dog,
he'll
bro.
play on Sunday. Like, by that I mean he'll get drafted this year.
Yeah.
Good for him.
I got the KFC logs, like the fire logs. They smell so much like KFC that I have to keep them in my garage.
Yeah, that's what I was so worried about putting them in the trunk of your car. I'm like, oh, that's gonna smell up your new car.
It didn't actually. I was
Okay.
a little concerned about that. But it ended up not being bad.
It was
but
cold.
I'm
so-
going to, yeah. Because I would love to burn them because it smells great. I just don't want my house to smell like that.
But you could do that in the back fire pit or something.
Yeah, I'm going to locate a fire pit just to burn these logs. Or go on Facebook Marketplace or something.
Amazing.
I didn't what? Oh, I got no, I got them from I didn't buy them on purpose. If you missed it, there was a snafu with our White Elephant gift exchange here at work where they said to buy a gift, but then apparently you weren't supposed to buy a gift and they didn't tell anyone that. So me and one other guy were the only people who bought gifts.
Just in case.
So we just exchanged gifts.
And just in case brought the
Yes.
KFC fire logs.
Yeah, it's a really good White Elephant gift.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's a brilliant. Oh, hang on. Hour number 2, that's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. We are rocking with you until noon. Salute to Jiffy Lube, who sponsors the program and who's also going to give you a $50 gift certificate that we're giving away Friday. We have a couple of keywords that you can go enter at ESPN1320.com. There's a contest page. When we give you the keyword, you can go enter it, and you'll get a chance to win that $50 Jiffy Lube gift certificate and an exclusive Insiders hoodie made just for this giveaway. Do you want to do the first word right now?
Yeah, let's do it.
We're talking about KFC at the break.
Oh.
And that made me, I really want to talk about KFC's brilliant marketing strategy of having like KFC scented wrapping paper and fire logs.
Okay.
It's remarkable because if your neighbor gives you a present wrapped in that, you're going to be like, oh, dang, I need some KFC. It's brilliant. It's so smart.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to dive into that. I'm going to give away a $50 Jiffy Lube gift certificate instead.
Okay.
Give away a chance to win that $50 Jiffy Lube gift certificate and an exclusive Insiders hoodie made just for this giveaway. The only way you can get one is by winning this giveaway or if you work here.
Mm-hmm.
And we happen to give you one.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Black, blue, red, it's the whole shebang. So here's our first Jiffy Lube teamwork play of the game. This is from Friday's game against the Spurs. And here is the call. It's our guy, Mark Jones. And this is courtesy of NBC Sports California.
Great point, Katie. Monk drops it off for Sabonis, and he drops off the Spurs. It's a 13-point advantage.
That's a
Point,
Malik
Katie.
Monk. If you're listening on the radio, is Kevin
Monk.
Herter gives it up to Malik Monk. Malik Monk
Drops it off for Sabonis, and he drops off the Spurs.
Throws it
It's a
down.
13-point advantage. Great point,
San
Katie.
Antonio Spurs on Friday.
Monk.
So, your
Drops it off for Sabonis, and he drops off the
.com is dominate.
Oh,
Yeah, the word is dominate.
dominate. Okay.
DOMINATE. Dominate. At ESPN1320.com. Big shout out to Jiffy Lube. Want to remind you that the holiday driving season is now. It's happening.
Yeah.
Don't find out in the middle of your road trip for the holidays that you need an oil change. Take advantage right now. Jiffy Lube has a $33 online coupon. Get $33 off your oil change at jiffylube.com. You go download that coupon. It's right there available for you. Get that oil changed. Get your wiper blades. We talk about that all the time before the rain
check your
starts.
headlights. Check your battery. Make sure your battery's still good. Yeah, all the good stuff.
Find all this out now before it ruins your holiday travel.
That's right.
Most locations open at 7:30 a.m. Find the location nearest you at jiffylube.com. All right. We'll give you that second word here coming up in a bit. So the 49ers blew out the Bears yesterday, 38-13.
Mm-hmm.
They looked like the team that we all thought they would look like all season. George Kittle had a huge game. Juwan Jennings had a huge game. Isaac Arendo had a really nice day before going out with a foot sprain. We'll get to that here in a bit. Unfortunately for San Francisco, nothing else went right for them.
No.
The Rams won, needed the Rams to lose. Seahawks won, needed the Seahawks to lose. And it was a continuation of, man, this entire season. Even when they do something right, they have their best performance of the year, top to bottom. Like that was, people go back to the Jets game. The Jets game was weird because they kicked a bunch of field goals and it felt a little wonky. The Sunday's game was about as good of a game as you can ask for.
Yes.
And it's like, oh yeah, that's right. This is a really fun game. It just doesn't matter for this year though. This year's cooked.
It's tough.
And that's okay.
You didn't take care of your own business.
Yeah.
And when you do that, when you leave a door open and you're hoping that things fall your way, really the football gods usually don't shine down upon you.
Yeah.
Unless you're the Kansas City Chiefs. Then they shine down on you at all times. And it's just like
it's outrageous.
Yeah. We do have some breaking news from Adam Schefter, not 49ers related, but Jonathan Brooks tore his ACL again.
Yeah,
in his right
man,
knee
that
yesterday.
was just horrible.
It's official.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
rookie running back out of Texas. Didn't play the first part of the year because he was recovering from an ACL tear.
Yeah.
Finally gets in, and then, non-contact yesterday.
Absolutely
Started to go
horrible.
bounce it outside and just fell down.
From our friend Nick Wagner, 49ers tight end George Kittle has 7,074 receiving yards in 109 games. He's the third fastest tight end in NFL history to 7,000 yards, trailing only Gronk, who did it in 100 games,
Jesus.
and Kelsey, who did it in 104.
Wow.
So
I looked this up yesterday. George Kittle's now at 800 yards for the season. If he gets to 1,000, it'll be his fourth 1,000-yard season. Jason Witten, Gronk, and Tony Gonzalez each had 4 1,000-yard seasons. Travis Kelce has 7.
Okay.
So he'll be the 5th tight end ever to have at least 4 1,000-yard receiving seasons.
There's no one else?
No.
Wow.
There have been a lot of great tight ends. Pause.
Yeah.
But, yeah, those are the only 5 that have gotten to 1,000 4 or more times.
Yeah.
Jason Witten, Gronk, Tony Gonzalez, and Kelsey.
That's crazy. I would have thought like Kellen Winslow or someone would have had it before, but
yeah, I would have got like Antonio Gates. I thought might have gotten there.
Oh yeah. Gates didn't get there.
No.
Wow.
He's more of a touchdown machine. Jimmy Graham, I thought might have done it, but his run wasn't long enough, I guess. Greg Olson was in the league for a long time. Now he didn't do it.
Todd Christensen.
Your guy. Vernon Davis didn't do it. Yeah, it's crazy, man.
Oh, that's it. That's an incredible stat, Kyle.
Yeah. A couple of nitpicks from yesterday for the Niners.
Okay.
Because I loved seeing, we talked a little bit about Brock Purdy earlier. That was the best game he's played in a long time. He was decisive. He was accurate. He scrambled like when necessary. He didn't lean on it. He utilized it when he needed to. He moved around in the pocket really effectively.
He got hit hard a couple of times.
Yeah, he got walloped a couple of times. Yeah. He had the roughing the passer there on that last drive where Brandon Allen had to come in for a play. But yeah, man, I was really, really impressed. And I've been kind of down on Purdy this year because I thought this was a chance to be the rising tide that lifts all boats, and he just really hasn't been. But back home, out of the inclement weather, he looked like the MVP candidate quarterback again. 20 of 25, 325. I don't have a stat line in front of me, but 300 plus yards, couple of touchdowns, no turnovers. There he is.
Yeah, he looked really good.
He looked awesome. So
I just
to Brock Purdy.
I just want to point out my guy Todd Christensen. He had 3,000-yard seasons and 1 smack dab in the middle of those three at 987.
Oh, dude.
He missed a stat by 13 yards
Oh, no.
one time.
Todd.
Sorry,
My
Todd.
guy. Can I
Todd-
get one more catch?
Todd should be a Hall of Famer. I don't know why he's not. That's just ridiculous. Anyway.
A couple of nitpicks from yesterday. Not nitpicks, a couple of bad things. So Ben Barch, the 49ers' new starting left guard, because their starting left guard, Aaron Banks, has a concussion and hasn't cleared protocol yet. He's missed the last 2 games. Ben Barch, who had been playing well, Niners picked him up from Jacksonville. He had a knee thing, but now he's back and was playing really well. High ankle sprain, probably done for the year.
Oh.
That's just brutal. And then Isaac Arendo, the 49ers' new starting running back, because Jordan Mason and Christian McCaffrey are both on IR, left with a foot injury. Now, Kyle Shanahan did say that x-rays were negative.
Okay.
They think it's a foot sprain. And Isaac Arendo didn't seem super worried about it after the game. But with a short turnaround to Thursday night where they play the Rams,
maybe they thought
I'm not optimistic about his chances to go play in that one. He
That's
looked good
true.
before he got hurt, though.
Maybe they thought, it's not that bad at all, but let's just go ahead and put him on ice since the game's over and we know we're playing on Thursday. Maybe they're just like with an abundance of caution.
Sure, yeah. When you're up 24-0 at half, you have that
Yeah.
luxury. The 2 surprising things for me with Garendo, I thought he ran fine. I thought he ran well. The fact that he had that long catch down the right sideline where Purdy just hit his back foot and just threw it up for him and let him run underneath it. It was similar to the play that Christian McCaffrey made against Tampa Bay. And I watched that play with McCaffrey on the field, and I went, he's the only player they can do that with. Purdy wouldn't make that throw to any other running back.
No.
But he did. He made that throw to Garendo, which that was very impressive to me. And then he came down with it. I was encouraged by what I saw from Isaac Garendo yesterday, because he had just had such a slow start to his career. But he looked more patient yesterday. His impact in the passing game was a really big deal, especially when you start projecting out what does he look like over the next 2 or 3 years. So hopefully he's all right. Hopefully he can play on Thursday. We'll see. But before he went down, I thought he was having a really, really awesome game.
Yeah, I think he really struggled early on with the pace of the game and also the patience. So when he was waiting to hit the hole, he was waiting too long. And then when he did go, it wasn't like from 0 to 60. It was like, hey, man, that's not going to fly.
Right.
Like someone's going to they're just going to grab you by the leg going through that, and you got no shot.
Those gaps close up very quickly in the NFL.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
So he's growing, he's learning, and that's what you're hoping. And I mean, he's showing that he has the football acumen to actually make adjustments. And that's a good sign, especially if he can catch the ball out of the backfield. It just changes everything, because I don't going forward. How much can the 49ers really rely on Christian McCaffrey being healthy?
You can't.
Well, Carolina couldn't. And then he ended up having a long stretch here with the 49ers where he's really good and stayed healthy. But he's always been a guy who's been dinged up and tough.
Yeah, so we'll see what that looks like next year. But yeah, I don't think you can go into next season going, oh, Christian McCaffrey is going to be the workhorse back. I think that's when you talk about adjustments the 49ers need to make offensively. You need to figure out a way to have an offense that doesn't involve Christian McCaffrey. You have to prepare to not have him. I think so much of what plagued their offense this year was everything centers around number 23. And when he's not there, there's not really there's plays, but there's not a backup plan. There's not an identity. There's not a foundation. And I think the same thing goes for Deebo Samuel. And that's my other nitpick. We got to stop the Deebo Samuel run game. He had 5 carries for 13 yards yesterday. In the first half, he had 3 carries for -3 yards. His longest run of the day was 8 yards. His longest run of the season is 12 yards. We got to stop. It's not working anymore. He doesn't. Maybe he's hurt. Maybe he's dealing with the lingering effects of the pneumonia that he had in week, what was that, 6 or 7? I forget when it was, but a few weeks ago. Maybe it's that, but whatever it is, it doesn't work right now. And it leads me to believe, and again, I say this about Christian McCaffrey, I say it about Deebo Samuel as well. The 49ers need another club in their bag for when Deebo Samuel is in wide back all-pro Deebo Samuel.
Yeah.
Because right now, I don't think they have one. I don't think there's that much of an answer. And so much of their offense is predicated on Deebo Samuel being this force of nature who, when he goes in motion, every linebacker and every defensive back is panicking. And now all of a sudden you get misdirection. You get Christian McCaffrey a wide open hole over here because there's 4 defenders looking at Deebo Samuel. It's just not happening anymore. So I think that's the other adjustment they have to make is you got to figure out, okay, what does this offense look like without Christian McCaffrey? And what does this offense look like either without Deebo Samuel or without a version of Deebo Samuel that impacts defenses, whether he has the ball or not?
Yeah, and I think you have to look at guys like Garendo. You got to look at guys like Cowing, and like how can you use those guys as that type of impact player in different situations? Can you get Cowing to a point where he can be a serviceable NFL wide receiver? Can you get Garendo to a point where him and McCaffrey can kind of be interchangeable and even on some occasions play together?
Boy,
where
that'd be
one of
fun.
them's in motion, the other one's in the backfield, and like you have all kinds of options. Like you've got to start getting more creative for next season. So I think that's where Garendo has an opportunity here to sort of plant himself as, maybe not RB2 because I think Mason's done a great job.
Yeah,
but definitely as your third down back. And a guy that can be impactful in the way that Deebo is. And if Debo's not there, because Juwan Jennings sure has stepped up and said, hey,
he's awesome.
I'm wide receiver 2 next season at worst.
At least.
At worst. Yeah. So I think it's good stuff.
Yeah. And the problem is you can't make wholesale changes like that in season. You're preparing for it to play an opponent. You can't say, hey, all these rules, all these things that we've established, all these things that we spent the entire offseason installing, forget them all. We're redoing it. You just can't. You got to kind of work with what you got. But I thought Kyle Shanahan called a great game yesterday. I thought the 49ers executed as well as they have all year. Whether that is the urgency of knowing that you had to win, whether it was the Bears being terrible, I'm not totally sure. But that was a game the Niners needed. They played really well. The injury stuff continues to suck, but it's football, man.
Yeah.
Football.
Tough stuff, man.
Yeah. Talanoa Hufanga back yesterday as well.
It's good to see.
Yeah. I didn't expect Talanoa Hufanga to be an upgrade over Jair Brown because I went into this year believing, because here's where I'm at with Talanoa Hufanga. I don't know if I've ever publicly said this take.
I think you have, but it's okay.
I think he's a little overrated.
Yeah.
His all-pro season there were a lot of splash plays and he was really good, but there were 3 touchdowns at least that I can think of off the top of my head where it was like, hey, where were you going? Why did you vacate that entire half of the field to try and go get the quarterback on the other far side of the field? Like the attempt to make splash plays led to big plays for the opponent. There's one against the Bears in week 1 of that season. There's one against the Raiders. Was that week 17 they played them? And then there was one, I think it was against the Cardinals when the Cardinals beat them that year. But anyways, I didn't think there was any world where Jair Brown or Talanoa Hufanga was going to be an upgrade over Jair Brown. But Jair Brown has been so bad this year that when Talanoa Hufanga came back from his wrist injury, which he did yesterday, they left in Malik Mustafa, the rookie, removed Jair Brown, their 2023 third round pick. They traded up in the 3rd round to go get him. And they put Hufanga in. That was not it was the right move. It was just not a thing that before the season I would have expected to happen.
Yeah.
I was shocked. Not shocked. They did the right thing. It's a bummer that Jair Brown, a player that I think they were really relying on, is getting benched for a player who has to wear a club on his wrist. That's
tough.
Not great. Don't love it. Anyways.
Inconsistent young players. It happens.
Yeah. Sacramento Kings. When they're like, I want to go around the NFL. We'll do that next. We might do that with Kenny Caraway with the handoff coming up here in a bit. About 20 minutes we'll have Kenny Caraway in. Plus we have another keyword to give you for the Jiffy Lube $50 gift certificate giveaway. We'll do that here coming up as well. The Malik Monk stuff on Kevin Huerter I thought was really interesting. Where Huerter is now using Malik Monk as a resource to figure out how to navigate the starter to 6th man transition.
Yeah.
And here's what Malik Monk said. He didn't go super into detail, but James, he posted this video on Twitter, and here's what, just in case anybody missed it, here's what Malik Monk said about talking to Kevin Huerter about his transition to a six-man.
Yeah, I've been talking to him about it. I'm gonna continue to talk to him about it if you have any more questions. I ain't gonna tell you what I told him though.
Wish you would tell us what he told him. Like, why are you just dangling that out there, Malik? I'd love to know what that conversation is. But the fact that a player like Malik Monk, who's clearly the vocal, like, heartbeat of the Kings,
Yeah.
the fact that Kevin Huerter can go to him and say, hey, how do you handle this? How do you handle that? Whatever questions he's asking, whatever answers he's getting. That's a really, really big deal, man. And I think it's another reason we were talking about Malik Monk a little bit last segment and his energy on the floor and what it means for the Kings offense. I think that right there, that Kevin Huerter can go to him, ask those questions, get those questions answered.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty significant. And it's just another reason that Malik Monk is so vital to what the Kings are doing.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see how those discussions go, because I think there is something special about a player that knows how to come off the bench and figure out how to, like, impact a game.
Mm-hmm.
And the pace of play that I've seen from Kevin Huerter over the last couple of games, that is something that you can directly see from what Monk has been working with him,
Mm-hmm.
or at least talking to him about.
Yeah.
Like, look, you have to come in and you have to make your presence felt, like,
Yes.
right away.
Yes.
And you can't just try to ease into the game. You try to ease into the game, and next thing you know, it's 5 minutes in and you haven't got a shot up, and you go back to the bench because you're not doing anything.
Yeah.
And so I think we're seeing Kevin not just, like, be more freewheeling and taking shots, but I think we're also seeing Kevin do some other things. Like, he's bringing the ball up, and he's aggressively bringing the ball up, and he's
Mhm.
getting them into their play sets quickly. He's being an energetic rebounder. He's passing. You know, there's all of these things that Kevin Huerter can do as a player. And, like, look, Kevin's a big dude. You know, we're talking about a 6'7" guy that the Kings would have loved to have him work out as their starting shooting guard.
Mhm.
And, you know, he did for a year and a half. But Kevin Huerter, during his career, I mean, he's played 435 games, and he started 365 of those. And as a
Mhm.
Kings player, he didn't start 5 games last year, and now we're 7 games into him not being a starter this year. But predominantly throughout his career, he's been a starter, and it's not easy to go back and forth,
Mhm.
right? And so I hope that it works out for Kevin. Because, like, the Kings are a better team with Kevin Huerter playing well.
Yeah.
And they need everybody
Clearly.
on board to get things moving the right way. And we talked about this a little bit, like, to hear De'Aaron Fox talk about Kevin Huerter, how he refers to him as Kev, and just, like, talking about, it's not like they're exiling this guy. It's not like he's not part of the group. It's not like, yeah, so Huerter's been struggling, we know. It's not that. It's like, no. They're a
Yeah.
family.
Yeah, they know how important he is.
Yeah, and somebody's struggling and not having his best season after not having a great season last year. And so at this point, I think it's really good to see that Malik is handling, like, trying to be supportive in a different way, and that Kevin Huerter's sitting there listening and saying, okay, like, if this is my new world, I'm going to live in it. And not only that, but, like, it makes Kevin more valuable moving forward, because I don't know that Kevin's going to get another contract that pays him 17, 18 million bucks a year.
Sure.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he keeps getting the Harrison Barnes contract, but if not, Kevin Huerter needs to find a way to still be a 10, 12, 13 million, a mid-level exception player.
Mhm.
And the way to do that is to be as versatile as possible.
You want to talk about versatility? We've been talking about his shooting a lot. What about his passing, which is our Jiffy Lube teamwork play of the game from last night's game, the 141-97 win over Utah. Is this the right play?
Yeah.
Is this the right play?
It is.
The right play? Okay, Here we go. If you're listening on the radio, the audio is courtesy of NBC Sports California. But this is Kevin Huerter finding Domantas Sabonis for 3 in the corner. Corner-to-corner pass here from Kevin Huerter. This is sweet. Check it out.
Inside, Sabonis wheels. Baseline cut by Ellis. One more.
Oh.
What a skip pass. That ball pops.
I am so glad that Kevin Herter,
That was
the
such a
degree of
sick
difficulty is really high. He has to get it
Fine.
over the top of the
Not-
basket. But did you see how John Collins
Wow.
literally
Just
had his
high-level
back to
basketball.
Domas in that corner? No.
Inside, Sabonis
Execute
wheels.
pass.
Baseline cut by Ellis.
You got-
One more. What a skip pass.
Man, you got to get it over the basket over 3
I am
defenders.
so glad that Kevin
then
Herter,
hit
because the
bonus
degree
right in
of
the chest.
difficulty is really high.
I
He
love
has to get it
also
over
if
the top of
you're-
the basket.
you're
But
watching
did you
the
see
video,
how
look
John
at your
Collins
eyes.
literally had his back to Domas in that corner? No.
Like,
Inside,
what
Sabonis wheels.
was that?
Baseline cut
And
by
look at
Ellis.
the scheme.
One more. What a skip pass.
It's a
That ball
Domas
I am
high
so
post,
glad that
drop
Kevin Herter,
Keon,
because
who's
the
cutting under the basket, which is beautiful. Keon is clearly getting cut off by a couple of shot blockers, finds Kevin in the corner, but look at the relocation by Domas.
Yeah.
Domas isn't fighting for a rebound in this situation. He understands the scheme. He's going over to the corner to set up for a potential kickback from Keon, but instead it's Herter. And this is where Herter being 6'7" really comes in handy.
Mm-hmm.
See all the way over the defense and find the shooter in the corner. Like, spectacular play.
Man, 19 here for the Jazz, and Colin Sexton just have no idea what they're doing. There's because 19 runs out, like, for in case Herter's going to swing it back up top. They're trying to get in that rotation. What is John Collins doing here? I need to know. So Collins is guarding nobody here. He's just hanging out.
He's sort of
Looks like a little bit
guarding
of a zone look, maybe.
Yeah. He's the one that gets burned on the back cut.
Right. So
By Keon.
back cut by Keon. He goes in for the steal. No dice. Stays under the basket for no reason. Oh, there's the skip pass. And then watch this closeout. Watch this weak ass closeout by John Collins. Watch it.
Cut by Ellis.
Just
One
stands
more.
there,
What a skip pass. That
What
ball
is that? What was this?
Oh,
This is
Sabonis
not a
wheels.
closeout.
Baseline cut by
I want
Ellis.
no- this is why I
One
want
more.
no
What a
parts of John
skip
Collins. What is
pass.
that?
That ball pops. Bonus
What
wheels.
is this
Baseline
for?
cut
You
by Ellis.
Like,
One more. What a
figuring
skip
out, yeah,
pass.
no, we'll take it.
That ball
And then
pops.
a half-ass contest. Get John Collins out of my face.
Okay, so 19 is Svi Michaela,
Oh,
which I didn't know was there.
I had no idea. That's
Oh.
news to me.
We're blowing through a break.
Yeah, that's fine. You know what? Hey, we're just gonna do this a little different. We're just gonna go. We're good. We're sticking around. We're doing this for you. Shout out to everybody listening on ESPN 1320, everybody on the free Odyssey app, and everybody watching on YouTube and Twitch, youtube.com/ESPN 1320, twitch.tv/ESPN 1320. He's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. Jiffy Lube sponsors the show, and we want to give you a $50 Jiffy Lube gift certificate. We're going to do that at ESPN1320.com. There's a contest page. We'll pick a winner on Friday, but you're going to want to enter as many times as you can to give yourself a chance to win that $50 Jiffy Lube gift certificate just ahead of the holiday driving season, as well as a giveaway exclusive insiders hoodie courtesy of our friends at Jiffy Lube. Those available only through this giveaway. So
That's right.
ESPN1320.com, you'll see the contest page. Our first word was dominate. Our second word, buckets. Now that's what the Kings are getting right now. 281 points across 2 games.
All right.
It's buckets. Buckets. Buckets.
Yep.
And again, enter to win a $50 Jiffy Lube gift certificate and an exclusive insiders hoodie courtesy of the homies at Jiffy Lube.
Yep. I want to bring up something from the chat here. Jacob C says nobody expected that pass by Herter. By Kevin. There we go. Not Carter. By Herter. And you're right. And it was because Kevin Herter was hitting his 3-point shots. And that's why hitting your 3-point shots are so important, because the defense reacts different when you're hitting your 3-point shots, and it leaves players wide open all over the court because everyone is rushing to get to you.
Yeah.
And people don't leave you because of it. And it opens up the spacing. And that's a huge reason why the Kings have struggled.
And you see why the rhythm and ball movement, the rhythm that comes with ball movement versus the rhythm that comes with one guy getting in the lane and then like every once in a while going, oh, hey, now you shoot it. Oh, I'm going to kick this one out. Actually, it's just different because there's an engagement level that comes with this style of offense where Domas is going to make that pass to Keon and then get to the corner and, hey, you know what? Ball might come to me. I'm ready.
Yeah, and I think, too, Mike Brown did a really good job of explaining this either yesterday or earlier in the week. It was that that it's not that they just want everyone running to the paint
Mhm.
and like touching the paint and turning and firing it. The key is to stay on 2 feet the whole time, not leave your feet, not go off of one leg. It's to stay on 2 feet. When you get to the key, if they've walled you off with a second body,
Mhm.
that means it's somebody else's wide open, head up, looking at all
Right.
look back, look to the corner, look to the elbow, wherever you need to keep your eyes open. But when they collapse, and if not, go
But
score.
also, sure, right. But also, it shouldn't be you get into the lane and stop and then go, okay, where did that? You should know that defender crashed from the right side. That's where the ball is going.
Exactly.
It just
That's where basketball IQ starts
Yeah.
to come in.
dribble with your head up.
Yeah.
So you don't look down and dribble. You mentioned Kevin Herter's value. That's where this, if you want to spin this off of the between the lines stuff,
Mhm.
this is where it gets really interesting, because we were wondering last week, man, what is Kevin Herter's contract is the one, if they're going to make a move, that's the contract they're probably going to have to move. But what value does he have? Well, now, okay, he's 10 of his last 13 from 3, had 26 points last night. He looks awesome.
Mhm.
But now it's like, wait, maybe you don't want to move him. Maybe you need him. But I think they still have, and we'll see it here over the next few games. They have New Orleans, but then they get Denver. They have the Lakers a couple times. They have a tough stretch of games coming up.
Yep.
Where they're really good when Kevin Herter is hitting his shots like this. But what's the other pitch? What's the other club in their bag? Pick your metaphor. That's what I'm so fascinated to see, because I don't know the right answer. Like the logical part of me says, well, any move you would have made last week, you'll still make this week. The last 2 games have been really nice and really nice steps forward. But realistically, I think that the things that are going to hold the Kings back from either making the playoffs or making any kind of run in the playoffs are still the things that are going to hold them back, regardless of whether Kevin Herter's hitting his shots or not.
Mhm.
But on the other hand, it's like, man, they just scored 140 and 141 points the last 2 nights. Their offense is really deadly when he's cooking. That's a tough spot. It's a tough spot to be in.
Yeah. I mean, you have to find ways to improve within your system. And I think sometimes that means you have to go out and get different players to change up what's happening. And so, like, it's one thing that they're scoring 140, but if you can find another player that can hit those threes, but that can give you an upgrade on the defensive end of the court,
Yeah.
and like we can talk about Jay Crowder being, but what you realistically need, unfortunately, is like a younger, better version of Jay Crowder. Like someone who can earn 25 to 30 minutes a game and can impact the game in a different way. And so it's never, like
it's a lot of words to say, Cam Johnson.
Yeah. The goalposts just keep moving, man. The goalposts just keep moving.
I want to address this because I think, hang on, I want to make sure I'm getting this name right, and I can't see from here. Hang on. Okay. Nato Bobadilla, I think I'm pronouncing that right, said they're good when Kevin is good, but Kevin's only good when they play trash teams. I'm not gonna fully push back on that, because if you're assessing the last 2 games, yeah, that's definitely the case. These were 2 teams that the Kings should have steamrolled, and they did.
Mhm.
And I do think that's a really valid, if someone has that concern, I think that's valid about what does this look like when they play Denver? What does this look like when they play? I don't think the Lakers are good, but the Lakers are better than the Spurs and the Jazz. What is it? Or the version of the Spurs that the Kings played?
Yeah.
What does it look like when they play those teams? What's it look like against Oklahoma City or pick a playoff team?
Yeah.
But that's the next step. And that's why I don't think either of us are making sweeping declarations based off these last 2 games. But when you're talking about building blocks and just taking steps forward, the last 2 games were a good step, no matter how you want to slice it.
Yeah, but I think I can flip that. If they would have lost the last 2 games, we would make sweeping declarations.
Well, yeah, duh, because it would be steps in the continued negative direction.
Exactly, but you can't say that they didn't do something because it's a bad team.
No, they did, for
they
sure.
did. They took steps in the right direction. And if they didn't, we would have already seen changes. Like this thing, like we would have seen all kinds of chaos.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like if you keep losing and you keep losing at home, like bad things will happen. Like everyone knows, this is the NBA. Like coaches leave all the time, general managers leave all the time. Like bad things happen all the time. They're not happening now, at least for like we have another reprieve moment here because good things happened.
Yeah. Yeah, man. That's I wasn't reacting. I was reacting to something else. Sorry.
No, that's fine.
No, and I think that's I don't disagree, I don't think. But I'm looking at these two wins as, oh, the Kings for the first time this year did kind of what they were supposed to do against a worse team. Whereas if they had lost, it would have been a continuation of the spiral that they've kind of been in lately.
Yeah.
So these were important first steps. And now you feel a little bit better about, okay, the ship looks like it's been righted. Now let's see when they go play at Denver. What does that look like then? And if they go beat the heck out of Denver, all right, great. That's another step. And now we're really cooking with gas.
Yeah, that and like look, Kevin Huerter started like an entire season for the Kings and they won 48 games that year. They beat a lot of really good teams. Like they've beat the Suns twice this season with Kevin Huerter starting. Like they've won games with Kevin Huerter. I don't want it to be that they only are Kevin Huerter's only having good games because they're playing bad teams. And, he's played plenty of good games in his career against really good teams. I mean, he went all the way to Eastern Conference Finals with the Hawks.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see. Good steps. Good first steps for Kevin Huerter. It's just I'm so interested to see how the Kings handle this moving forward. And whether they go, oh, this roster is good enough. Because I still think they're short of what they need to be to be the contenders they want to be. But at the same time, it's really hard to argue with the results of the last two nights.
I agree.
So the next handful of games are going to be super important.
Yep. You got to keep it rolling.
Yeah. All right. Want to remind everybody real quick. First of all, we have NFL football tonight. Bengals, Cowboys in a huge game for the 49ers place in the NFL draft. So you're going to want to tap in. Coverage begins right here on ESPN 1320 at 4:45. We also want to encourage you to join ESPN 1320 in making a child's holiday season that much brighter. Drop off new unwrapped toys at our ESPN 1320 studios located in Roseville, California. That's from November 25th through December 13th. That's this Friday. We are open from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. on weekdays. If you want to pop in, there's a doorbell. You ring the doorbell, and then the giant bucket where you can drop those toys is right inside. We would appreciate the heck out of it. Let us know that you're pulling up, and if we can, we will pop out and say what's up and let you know how much we appreciate you for doing that. So again, through December 13th, we're open 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Drop off new unwrapped toys here at our ESPN 1320 studios. We would appreciate that immensely. See Buddy Hield last night?
Uh-oh.
Started cooking, bro.
Did he?
We had the full Buddy experience. We had the 1-on-3 fast break, dribble into traffic, get it stolen. But then he went nuclear from 3 in the second half. He hit 7 of 13 for the game and hit the dagger. Like, man,
hey, look,
what a frustrating player.
I'm happy. You live by the buddy, you die by the buddy. It's not even like...
It's so funny.
It is, and I love seeing, like, I sent you tweets from people, from Warriors fans. Like, I love seeing them have this same moment with him because it's not... we all liked Buddy Hield in Sacramento. Like, having Buddy around, he's funny. And he's he's a goofball, and like, he's a good dude. But you also have to live through the highs and the lows of it. And so I love watching someone else live through the highs and the lows of it, where it's not like, oh man, Kings fans were just so wrong. No, now you're realizing that there are great moments, and then there are moments where you're like, I can't believe what just happened. Like, you cannot do that.
Well, the thing that Golden State's problems go so far beyond Buddy Hield.
Yeah.
Like, it is not, he's not like they have 25 things wrong before we get to, hey man, Buddy on one possession dribbled into traffic.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, man, that happens sometimes.
Yeah.
But anyways, shout out to Buddy Hield.
Good for Buddy.
Cooking. I can't believe Golden State won last night, to be honest. I still can't figure them out.
No, they're a tough one to figure out, but they have fallen down the ranks a little bit. They're 14 and
Yeah.
9 on the season. They're
Lost, 6 in a row or whatever?
They're now 5th place in the Western Conference.
The Timberwolves scored with 4:47 to go in the game last night and then didn't score again.
Oh.
Minnesota's offense is just I don't buy them any more now than I did at the beginning of the year. Even though Ant's shooting the heck out of it from 3.
Mhm.
I just all of those problems with like you can't really run anything through Rudy Gobert. Julius Randle's kind of a ball stopper. It is not feeling it with Minnesota.
Yeah, it's a bit of a mess. Like there are a lot of teams in the West. Like the West is like the vaunted West, but there are a lot of teams that are not playing up to potential.
Yeah.
And I'd also say there are a lot of teams that are like when you're facing Western Conference opponents, it's tough because everyone is really good. It's just a lot of them are knocking each other off, and so it's tough on a night out basis to even get some traction and start winning. Building a win streak.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Some interesting games in the NFL yesterday. We'll get to that. Kenny Caraway is going to join us for the handoff. D'Lo and KC coming up at noon. We'll talk about the 49ers with him. We'll get his early thoughts on the Kings. Plenty coming up in the final segment here on The Insider, sponsored by Jiffy Lube. It's ESPN 1320, Sacramento Sports Leader. I super did that wrong. Whoops. We're good. We're fine. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Everyone relax. Don't know, man. I'll be right back.
All right, I'm here.
James is here.
Hello, friends.
Back to sleep.
Wait, so they found that guy? Is that what's happening? The CEO killer? Oh, they're going to figure out the contest page right now. Kyle is. Sorry. Trying to work some trade machine cap management stuff to see if like I could work out a bigger deal for the Kings, and so many roadblocks to do this. It's very frustrating. Hey, what's up, man? Our friend Michael Scotto had some interesting stuff I tweeted out. Like the Nets are fully open for business, like what I've been saying the last couple of weeks. But I would not be surprised if the Nets and Kings came to some sort of agreement on something, because there is plenty of smoke there. Plenty. And December 15th is 6 days away. And I know that means nothing realistically, but there are a couple of reasons why it could mean something this season. So I would just keep my head on a swivel when it comes to that stuff, because I think there is a way in which something interesting could happen. Failed trade.
Okay, so confirmed contest page is working. Dominate and buckets are the words.
Oh.
They both work. Your mic is on and up. Or it's up, it's not on. Pause.
I'm going to adjust this trade because I think this actually works. Adjust trade. Oh, interesting. Oh, I do think
I have a
this-
take I want to say, but I don't want to say it.
Uh-oh.
I don't know what you guys were talking about. I just read something in the chat.
Just saying. Throwing a future protected first. I don't know. Kenny, who says no?
Yeah, call that in.
Look at that. I'm just going to make my own trade.
I messed this up so bad, guys. This is my bad. I'm sorry. We're going to. All right.
All right.
Oh, I didn't say. I meant to say that. I was talking about Ben Simmons. I didn't have mics on when I was doing that. Yeah, Ben Simmons is going to be a Laker next year.
Well,
Wait, what's going on
Probably.
here? What do we got going on in the chat? We got weird stuff.
Oh, I mean, it's always weird stuff in the chat.
Yeah.
you never know what's going on in the shit.
Paid. Yeah, you got to keep working that trade. It's not quite there yet. It's not quite there yet. You have to give
10
more.
seconds. What if somebody in the chatty house is a Monty McNair burner and he floats trade ideas as to like crowdsource?
Crowdsource it. Yeah.
Here we go.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
Where are we at? There we go. I'm Kyle. He's James. Kenny Caraway in the building for the handoff. D-Lo and KC coming up here in about 10 minutes of D-Lo and KC for you. Nice little weekend for you.
Oh, man, it was a great weekend. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It was a great weekend, capped off by what I like to call hashtag perfect day.
Please
Niners,
explain.
Kings win on the same day is a perfect day. I think there's only, Thursday's an opportunity, but that might be the last opportunity of the year for a perfect day. I don't know if the Kings play the Monday night when the Niners play the Lions, but yeah, opportunities might have been one of the last opportunities. Well, like I said, Thursday is an opportunity, but that might have been one of the last ones, unless the Niners make the playoffs. Even then, the Kings don't have a whole lot of. Oh no, the 22nd they play, but actually, I think that's the week they play on Monday Night Football.
Yeah, that's the Lions game.
Yeah, not many opportunities for that left.
Wait, don't the Niners play on Thursday?
They do Thursday.
And don't the
Thursday's
Kings
last
play
one.
on?
Yeah, Thursday's
Okay.
the last. Yeah.
Got it.
Thursday's the last one.
I was trying to, I was like, don't write in the newspaper that I'm mad. I'm not mad. But it was so frustrating, specifically for the 49ers. For the Kings, it was like, oh, great. They steamrolled two teams that are worse than them. Thank God, finally. Like, that is exactly what they needed to do. Couldn't ask for more. They got 57 more games to figure this out. With the Niners, it's like, where's this been? Where was all this?
Well, it's been on the mend.
Too little, too late.
You know, I look at the Cardinals game. Any two of the three games when you talk about the Cardinals, Rams,
all the
and
NFC
Seahawks.
West ones. Yeah.
Win two of those games, and they were in control in the fourth quarter in all three games.
Yeah.
and they're not. They've suffered a lot of injuries this year, so they're not as explosive and dominant as they were in the past. But I heard James talk about it earlier. I mean, I still think it's a good team, but everybody will say good teams handle those those 3 games, and they didn't. So I completely understand that. But I there's a path. It's a real narrow path. It's like going up to Tahoe, or going to Yosemite, and it's like, boy, you better not veer off a little bit to the right, else you're going over that cliff. It's still there, and they may not have good.
The problem is they can win out and still not have it matter. They don't control their own destiny.
Yeah, I got I'll talk about it on D-Lo and KC, but I don't think it's the craziest thing to think the Seahawks might go on 4 to finish the season.
Yeah, because they got the 3 NFC North teams coming up.
And the Seahawks are like the Niners. They're okay.
Yeah, that's the entire
good.
NFC West. The entire NFC West is like, I guess. The entire NFC West is hoping for the 4 seed to get Sam Darnold at home in a playoff game.
Yeah,
that's the opportunity to play on.
They might need to be hoping to get Jordan Love. But I'm gonna tell you this. I mean, he's cool, but look, I'm gonna just tell you this: if Jordan Love is everything that everybody tells me he is, next week go into a mediocre Seattle team and win that game.
Yeah,
I've been asking him all year. He hadn't done it not once. Every good team they play, they lose. And I'm not saying it's his fault. I'm just talking about the pack. Like, he's good. He's cool.
Sure.
But championship, they've had 4 opportunities at this point, and they've lost all of them. If they're everything that everybody's telling me they are, they'll win next week. Same thing with the Vikings. People got upset because I said the Vikings aren't that good. If they're everything that people say they are, they'll go into Seattle and beat an above-average Seahawks team.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Going to be interesting. D-Lo and KC coming up next.
Yes.
They're going to rock with you until 4. Remember, we have Monday Night Football tonight. Bengals at Cowboys right here on ESPN 1320. Coverage begins at 4:45. Get locked in. That's big for the draft. That's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. James, terrific stuff today. Appreciate you so much. We'll be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. We are the Insider, sponsored by Jiffy Lube. Until 10 a.m. tomorrow, drink water and be nice to people.